I'm really delighted to be joined in the studio with my next guest. Albert and Christmas. It's all about a tortoise who never experienced Christmas. He's always asleep for the winter. It's part of the Albert series. And joining me now to talk about it is the brains behind it all, Ian Brown. Now, he's a London-based writer and producer for television, former journalist. His TV credits, quite something, includes The South Bank Show, This Is Your Life, Top Gear, and one of my favourites. And as soon as I heard this, I just kind of switched off from everything else. He's written for The Simpsons too. And I'm so delighted to say that he is live on Radio London. Ian, firstly, welcome to the show. It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here.
Where do we start? I suspect, firstly, we should really delve into the new book, because I know this coming Saturday at Joe's Bookshop in Chingford from 11, you've got a fantastic reading, and you've brought in quite an array, so thank you for that. But where did the whole kind of premise of Albert come about as a series?
Well, after about 40 odd years of trying to get published, like many people out there,
yes,
and a lot of rejection from publishers and agents.
Goodness.
Meanwhile, fortunately, very fortunately, having a fairly successful career in newspapers and television as a writer and producer. Literally 5 years ago, our pet tortoise, called Albert, who is more than 80 years old, and was rescued by my wife nearly 60 years ago. Her and her mum just found what they thought was a rock on the path near their house. But it wasn't a rock, it was a tortoise.
Wow.
And no one came forward to claim him, so they adopted him. He's been in the family ever since. They named him Albert, and 5 years ago, he does it all the time. They all do it. They're silly sometimes. He went upside down in the garden. And they can get themselves back on their feet, but normally, obviously, if we see it, we rush over, gently put him the right way around. I was doing that 5 years ago, and I cannot explain it. As I say to children all over the UK when I visit primary schools and preschools and everything, I don't know how, but boom, this idea came into my head. I could see the whole first story, Albert Upside Down, in my head like a cartoon film. Fortunately, I was working with the incredibly talented Owen Clark, who is an animation director, animator, and now illustrator of all the books we do together. We had a long chat. He started coming up with ideas for the look of Albert. He started off very more Disney-like to start with, bigger eyes, a crash helmet and goggles and things like that. But we decided it should be a bit more realistic tortoise. Fortunately, we found the publishers Graphic, who liked the idea. And the first book came out a little over 4.5 years ago.
Wow.
And now we're on picture book 9,
Congratulations.
book 3, a puzzle book, and we have another series out about a very messy yeti and a little flea called Hug and Bug as well. And we're thrilled to do it.
I can hear the passion in your voice, Ian, and it's quite something, because as you just described there, the fact that you've had such a successful career in TV journalism, but then this has always been there, the idea, the love of children's books. Why has it been such a passion, a lifelong passion for you?
Well, it stems a little bit more from the other series of books that we do, which is the Hug and Bug, as I say, about a very messy yeti and a little flea who doesn't like the cold, and they're living in the Himalayas. And the first book, called Finding Home, is all about the flea trying to find somewhere warm to live. And after all sorts of failed attempts, like an old mountaineer's boot that's been abandoned and the fur of a snow leopard and all that sort of thing, he ends up in the fur of this incredibly messy yeti, and they come to an arrangement that the flea will tidy the yeti in return for warm lodgings.
Nice.
And then we've had 3 other adventures as well since that. But I first wrote very different, but I wrote the first version of that when I was 7 at school.
Wow.
Really, it was very short, terrible pictures, because I'm not a great artist at all, not like Owen, who does all the illustrations. And it just stuck with me. I just thought they were nice, interesting characters, and that is one of the projects for more than 40 years that I tried to get published, and it went through all sorts of stages, and then it ended up luckily being sort of like a rhyming book, which is different to the Albert books. And after the sort of Albert book started to be a bit successful, Graphic, our publisher, said, "Have you got any other ideas?" And I said, "Well, it's funny. You should say that."
You should say that.
And sort of my other passion project, if you like, was able to come to life, and I'm absolutely thrilled.
Firstly, congratulations, because it's so heartwarming, I must say, the fact that this is, especially with Hug and Bug, it's been with you throughout your life, this story. And I think, we always hear this phrase, don't we? They say that everyone has a book within them. Some of us discover that, some of us don't. And, there is a lot to be said. I've always been fascinated by essentially storytellers. That's what you are, whether it's having worked in TV, now with these children's books, you're telling stories, but it's quite something. mean, have you read Albert and the Flood, or Albert Puzzles and Colouring to your actual real life tortoise Albert? Do you? I just wonder if he's even aware of what's going on with.
He's totally aware because he's in charge of all the marketing, Shay. So if you go to Albert's Facebook,
yes,
where he's gone somewhat viral,
right,
at Albert the tortoise.
Yes,
he's also on Insta. He's on TikTok. He's got his own website,
of course he has.
alberttortoise.com.
I'm on it now.
He does all the marketing pictures. So he poses with every book in various styles.
Literally, you can see him. I'm looking at him now, Albert, and you've got him with his one kind of, what do we call it? It's not a paw, his foot up, and then the image that is in the cartoon book. So this is amazing. He's actually reenacting everything that you see.
It's all very accurate, yeah. And
Love
it is all entirely inspired by real Albert.
Yes.
Every story has its basis in something that happens or that Albert does, or whatever. He really does go upside down. On a windy day, his food really does blow away because he has salad, and so that's Albert in the wind. He really used to, when he was younger, I should say, dig under the fence and escape from the garden, and that becomes Albert in the air.
Wow.
It goes on, and of course Albert and Christmas, the new one.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Which I should explain is actually set in the summer,
okay,
because real Albert is now asleep. He's hibernating.
Yes.
He went down a couple of weeks ago, and so all the animals in the garden decide to celebrate a special not Christmas in the summer, and it all goes a bit wrong, as it always does. In that, it's a bit hot. So the frog is gifted, for example, a mask, snorkel and flippers. And in the heat of the day, the mask steams up and he goes wandering off, not able to see where he's going.
I'm just looking at
the
these
winter
images.
Scarves slip off the snails' necks.
Yes.
And it goes on from there, really. And they have amazingly dandelion seed snow, so it looks a bit Christmassy. And so again, absolutely inspired by him. He misses Christmas. How do we get around that? Well, Christmas
we'll have it in the summer, absolutely. And
exactly.
I think, do you know what I love about the books? Just looking at them, and as you're talking, sorry, I should be looking at you, but I'm too busy engulfed in your books. But the illustrations are beautiful, and it's a key part. I should share with you, as a lot of our listeners know, my daughter is dyslexic, and I would say last year in year 2, really did fall out of love with reading. And we went on quite a journey to get her to start to want to pick up a book again. But what I have found is taking her back to books such as yours, which have, firstly, as I said earlier, the story, that's paramount, hands down. But the illustrations, the picture books really allow a child, especially like my daughter, Tyra, to go on a creative journey in their mind. And that's what I think is really beautiful.
Well, what seems to be being said more and more now is that it doesn't matter what a child reads if a child reads. You just want them to pick up a book, whether it's a graphic book, manga, whether it's
comic
a comic
books,
book,
whatever,
or a picture book. So I literally visit dozens and dozens of schools a year, thousands of school children. I work with a number of charities like Bookmark Reading, who help to put libraries back into schools. They also offer volunteers to help on one-on-one coaching to help children with reading skills and confidence. And I visit schools to back that up, doing story time session.
Why is it so important? Why do you think it's so important for children to read?
Well, obviously, reading is a skill that we all need in life. And I think it's quite a nice escape. Yeah. It's a quiet time.
I agree with that.
A quiet time away from screen time, dare I say.
Yeah.
And that, teachers say to me all the time, that's the sort of uphill struggle they have. It's sort of persuading children to pick up a book, basically, and stick with it. And but it is all coming back. Teachers and various charities and organisations are all working very hard to get books and reading and that it is a discipline, really, back into schools. And certainly, I hope, I try to help it enthuse children with the idea of reading and also being creative. Like we share loads and loads of work that children have done after one of my visits, whether it's a picture of an Albert or their own version of a story of Albert or about something entirely different. We share it in Albert's blogs on his website, alberttortoise.com, and we love to do it.
alberttortoise.com, as you say. I just want to ask you finally, as a Londoner, you've worked on one of the most iconic shows, You've written for The Simpsons. What was that like?
Well, it was very, very special, and it's pretty much at the top of my CV, I suppose.
Of course it is!
If you would say. I have to explain, it wasn't an episode. It was for a part of a tribute to Simon Cowell, he of Britain's Got Talent and American Idol and such like. At the time, he was riding high in America, huge in America.
Yeah.
He'd been on The Simpsons 3 times by then as a guest character, as it were. We thought, well, would The Simpsons do something? We got in touch. They said, we'd love to do something, but we're super busy, whatever. Have a go at a script. So no pressure. Write something for Homer Simpson, a 15-minute sketch, sending up, or being rude, if you like, about Simon Cowell as Homer Simpson. And I had a go, and we sent it over to the showrunner then, Al Jean, and he came back. It was by fax then, Shay, I have to say. Oh,
wow, okay.
Those were the days. Overnight, no sleep at all, went into the office next morning, and he loved it. And they did it word for word. Dan Castellaneta voiced it, 15-minute sketch of Homer sending up Simon Cowell. Some of my best jokes, even if I say so myself. And it now sits on YouTube, actually.
Wow.
People have uploaded it, not me. And it's there. And I treasure it. It was a great, great moment, to get that letter from Al Jean to say, we love it, we're going to do it. Dan's going in the studio tomorrow to voice it, then we'll animate it and send it over. And wow.
You're part of TV cultural history, you know that, right? I mean, that's kind of huge.
I wouldn't necessarily go that far myself, but thank you for saying.
I think so. You talk about Homer Simpson and Simon Cowell, it doesn't get better than that with The Simpsons. And I think for a lot of us, we all know that the episodes, we know, the characters that we love, but it was quite iconic. Whenever you would see, as you mentioned 3 times, Simon Cowell's character in The Simpsons. So congratulations. I mean, that should be framed on your wall at home, surely.
Well, I have pictures of Albert on the wall, obviously, because otherwise the real Albert gets a bit shirty.
Yeah, I suspect so.
He's a bit of a diva these days.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. I mean, look,
we have to keep him calm.
Yes, he's gone into hibernation, so you could probably take him down just whilst he's asleep. That's what I'd probably say. Just finally, you're going to be at the launch of Children in Read, which, of course, is part of Children in Need, aren't you?
Absolutely. This Saturday, the 11th of October, it launches. A wonderful thing. It's an online book auction as part of BBC Children in Need. It's called Children in Read. Dozens and dozens of authors have gifted books as auction sort of prizes, I suppose. And people make their online bid, and the highest bidders win the books, which are generally signed with a special dedication. Other goodies are thrown in, and Albert and Christmas is one of those books, and Hug and Bug the Race is another one of those books. And you can bid at Children in Read. Children in Read.
Make sure you get more details on that. What an absolute pleasure having you here, Ian. Thank you for joining me this afternoon, and congratulations on this book series. And I guess I am allowed to say it because the bosses probably wouldn't want me to, but we are talking about Albert and Christmas. So can you wish Albert a Merry Christmas from us here
Absolutely.
at Radio London?
I will shout it at where he's asleep as we when
he
I
might
get back.
hear it. He might hear it. You never quite know. Such a pleasure having you here, Ian. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
Now, it's as Ian has mentioned, if you'd like to follow the journey of Albert and the family, go to the website alberttortoise.com. Just so many beautiful videos, stories, and of course, you can also buy the books as well, the brand new one, Albert and Christmas. So head to that website. Right, time now is 4 o'clock. Let's get the news headlines on Radio London with Will Schindler.